In today's conversation, I'm speaking with Myla, co-founder of ATP Atelier. If you don't know ATP, ATP is a very successful Swedish fashion brand that was built with actual strategy. They started with a single product, no outside capital, no hype, just a clear idea, a defined customer, and the discipline to stay focused. Myla also spent years behind some of Sweden's biggest fashion brands like Filipa K and TOTEME before launching ATP. And what she shares in this conversation is a clear blueprint for how to build something that actually lasts. We talked about how to define product DNA, how to grow without losing your identity, what real sustainability looks like in practice, not marketing, and why focus is the most underused tool in this industry. If you're building a brand and you're feeling overwhelmed or pulled in too many directions, this episode is going to help you refocus and reset. Yeah, so very, very strategic, very conscious approach to starting the brand. The most defining and important factors being knowing what product to offer, how to present it in terms of pricing, communications, and who the customer and the ideal persona was.
And then one more thing that was super important, especially for me, was like in Filipa K, I was like initiating the sustainability work. So it was also very important, like in this concept, make something out of a sustainable point of view. And when you're super small, you don't have so many options. So of course the material is one thing that many people do, like organic cotton or something. And in leather, it's quite challenging. So we decided to start with vegetable tan vaqueta. Today we use more materials because today there are more certifications out there. But in the beginning, there was no such options. And also the decision to make it in Italy, because I've been traveling all over the world with production all my life, and I know the differences, and I knew producing in one place, sourcing in one place, having everything, like in Italy, every small factory, you source the soles around the corner, the inner soles in the other corner, the heels, everything is so connected and it's so easy. And I could see that doing this, we didn't need to overproduce. So we only produce what we need. We don't work with suppliers that have minimum quantities. So we can just produce after the demand that we are seeing. So we don't build high stock levels.
Inventories and high risks.
So and that was like, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so from like the business model was also very strategic because you saw foundationally the idea of being a sustainability inspired brand and using sustainability not only as a positioning advantage, of course, because it's a very unique place to be positioned, especially early on, but also from a business model perspective, because you didn't have to take that much inventory risk. And even that was also very strategically planned and approached that way.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. And what about from a management perspective? Was it you and, as you said, Jonas from the very early days, or also like capital behind investors, or was just?
No, that was also a decision we took, that we wanted to be independent. We wanted to build this in a way with our experience. So we were building it, and we were like working on the side with other concepts. I was still consulting in the fashion industry for many years, and Jonas was doing the same. So we built it without external capital, which means that we also did all the work ourselves. And in 2014, I hired my first employee, but a freelance girl helping with me with the design. But otherwise, it was 2014. And then after 2014, we entered the international market by getting in at Net-a-Porter and also The Line. That was like an amazing store in New York. And that opened the doors. And after that, we started to hire the teams. When we had the money, we hired the team, or we were doing it ourselves. But also, like, we also work with suppliers, very close with our suppliers. So they also like help us doing a big part of the work. I don't need to have like a big production team, just
Right,
like
so being very flexible with production, inventory, MOQs, all those different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Interesting. And again, this foundationally, the advantage was your experience in relationships in the industry that allowed you to be very strategic with the approach and therefore increase the probability of success, but also have the reputation so that people that were working alongside with you had the trust and the flexibility to, for you to make decisions with less risk and more flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like, not that we had connections, because the suppliers I had to source again. I didn't have these suppliers.
The reputation, at least,
Yeah, but still, like, to present yourself and having an idea and knowing what you're talking about, then people trust you. And of course, we also had like trade shows in Copenhagen that they believed in us. They offered us space without letting us pay too much. So yeah, we for sure, I think that is one of our key points by growing when you're small, that we had people supporting us, that one peers in the industry that they wanted us to do well, so, and that helped a lot.
Interesting. And financially, was it just savings, really, or debt?
Savings, but I mean, it was also like, since we were working with other things, we had another income, so we didn't have to cost anything. I had an office that was for the consulting agency, and we used the same office also for ATP. And so we built like step by step, but no bank loans, no. I mean, it was just our own money. It was not even savings. It's like we were investing, and like from the beginning, we started to sell the first season, so we could get like a small profit, and then we could reinvest that, another profit. So during all these years, we until like the last years, because it has really been really challenging for the whole industry. But before that, the first 10 years, we were like profitable every year, and we were just reinvesting at the next step.
Okay. And I'm guessing the model has always been mainly wholesale driven, especially
It
early
started
days.
being wholesale driven for sure. That was also a way of financing it, because starting with wholesale, you get your income, when it's coming 6 months in advance, so you can plan
Yeah,
accordingly.
you have the deposits to pay for
Yeah,
production.
exactly. So we could make it work around, but we actually started with e-com from the first year. But I would say like the last 5 years, 6 years, it has been growing a lot more. So today, wholesale is maybe 55%, and the rest is like our own channels.
Interesting.
Today the balance is more like 60-40 or 55-45.
Okay. If this episode resonated with you, and if you're building a real brand, but growth still feels inconsistent, overwhelming, or just not to the scale your brand deserves, we're offering free one-on-one coaching calls. And this call will help you identify exactly what's getting in your way and what to do next. These calls are limited and application-based. So if you're serious, click the link in the description, fill out your form, book your call, and if we think we can help, we'll confirm your spot. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and see you on the next one.